Hello and welcome back to Loud and Proud Orlando here with a very special OCB centered episode. We are talking with OCB player Alex Freeman. Alex, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me here.
That's awesome. So I want to congratulate you on finishing fifth in the MLS Next Pro this season with OCB. You guys finished strong and qualified for the 2024 postseason. You'll be playing this Sunday against Chicago Fire. But I want you to cast your mind back way to the beginning of the season. You didn't start out so hot. You had winless in your first four games with losses to Miami and Atlanta. So tell us a little bit about like the start of the season and what you guys learned from like your early struggles there.
I think earlier, I think we had a new team. I think it was just us getting used to a connection, getting used to each other. But I feel like as it went on, we ended up like communicating off the field and on the field. But I feel like it was just a slow start. I think all teams have that, especially with a new group. And I feel like we were easy to come back in the middle of the season and the end of the season to be able to grow together and as a team and be able to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean that's something at OCB you guys you're getting a lot of player turnover there. It's like new players constantly coming in. Of course, there's guys like you and other players that have been there more consistently. But you have new people all the time. And like you said, things started to pick up for you. You started to get some wins, and then August and September, you went on a great run. You guys won 8 games in those 2 months and accelerated up the table. You personally getting a lot of goal contributions almost in every game in that period. What do you contribute to that sudden, burst of success and, your attacking ability in those games to be able to contribute both, assists and goals?
I feel like as a right back, you don't usually see a lot of them with a lot of assistant goals, but I feel like the way we play, we basically play with another attacker. So it kind of helps me get forward, helps me get more involved in the game. And the team around me, our midfield is great, so we're able to break the lines, and then it's either wide to me or wide to another standout, Utaro. And then we have Jacqueline or Shaq, who's always in there too as well. And it's just all of us together working together that has gotten the team and me personally recognition around.
Is there anything you're doing, in your game there that you discovered about like the way that you were attacking, technically or differently, where you're like, hey, this all kind of clicked, and now, I'm able to be that attacking threat?
I feel like it was just me working after practice. I feel like me and the coach Manu Goldberg, we had a lot of conversations about just me being more clinical in the final third. And after practice, we would do shooting, crossing, and I feel like in the game, it just made me more confident. And when you have confidence, you just keep growing, and it just helps your game overall. And I feel like that for myself with the coaches, we're just going off the field and trying to just work on the little things that could be big in games and that can get us wins. So
Of course, yeah. Your new coach this year, Emmanuel Goldberg. Last year you had Martine Perlman in there. Tell us a little bit about what it's like learning from those two different coaches and their different styles over the 2 years.
both of them are great coaches. Martin last year he always had a lot of trust in me, and obviously Manu then was the assistant, so Manu was kind of looking in as well, and he was also there to help me, and Martin was there to help me, and I feel like they both helped me in various ways, and I think Martin gave me confidence last year, a lot of confidence that I needed, and then this year going into it, I already had confidence, and Manu just kept encouraging me to just go attack and just play my game. He gave me freedom, and I feel like throughout the season, you can tell that I feel more free and that um, throughout the games, it's just I feel like I can go forward. But he's always talking about defending as well. So I always have to get back and make sure that I'm behind the ball once we get countered or so and so. And he has also been talking to me about that. So it's just little things that Manu talks about to me to make sure my game is sharp. And just as an attacking right back, it's just so much to ask for, and he just makes it simple for me. So I love that from him.
You got that whole wing there from right back. You can go all the way up the field. We talked a lot about your attacking. Of course, as a right back, you've also got to defend a lot of the time. Do you feel like that's something you've been working on this year? being able to do both sides of the ball thoroughly and effectively.
I feel like that's the one thing I really wanted to improve on in the off season last year was my defending aspect. Oscar, Martin, and Manu, I think that was the main part that they were worried about coming into this year was just me defending and me being able to track back, especially as an attacking fullback. But I feel like this year I've worked on it almost every practice. It's just about getting back and be able to click on, not be able to zone out or anything, but be able to click on and get back and just win my duels, win my duels, win my duels. It's just like that simple.
Now you mentioned some of the other players in the squad. OCB is full of great young talent. Your teammates Colin and Juan were included in the MLS Next Pro All Star roster, and then Yataro is having a great season. Was just got honorable mention for the MLS Next Pro Best 11. Um, you know, Tell us about which teammates you like playing with, what you've noticed about some of them, or maybe there's somebody that we haven't noticed that's going underrated that you would like, actually, this guy is a real baller?
Yeah, obviously, Gusky and Juan, they got MLS Next All Stars, and I'm proud of them. They're very good players. On my side, I play with Shaq Muhammad, who's my roommate. So we talk about the games a lot after. So it's just me and him have to build that connection off the field as well. And the really standout player for me in the midfield is Ima girl. He's one of the players that knows how to do the job, and he's always there. He knows his function. He'll run, he'll defend, he'll attack, and he's just that one player that he's going to do his job every game. So I think that's the one player that I would recognize.
One of the more consistent players with you that gets, fairly regular starting minutes and gets some goals as well. Definitely a good shout. Interesting. I didn't know that you were roommates with Shaq. He's you two up that right side. You got that combination. Do you feel like being roommates has helped your, partnership? Is that something you guys are working on? How to be a good right wing double act?
Yeah, I feel like it's just us talking off the field. Obviously, we both watch film, maybe not always together, but separate. Well, we always talk about actions on the field. In practice, I feel like we talk about it more than we used to since we live together and we're more comfortable. And it's just, I feel like the right side with me and Shaq has been efficient this year. And I feel like a lot of it is us just moving in and being more comfortable with each other and talking about specific things, maybe something I'm doing wrong, something Shaq's doing wrong. But yeah, I feel like living together is definitely helping that in that aspect.
That's great to hear, man. We don't always know these things. That's cool. You guys are buddies and you get to play together on the field. We love that. As you mentioned, you've had a really successful OCB season. You've actually doubled and more your stats from last year. I don't know if you keep up with these things. You got 4 goals last year. You got 8 goals this year. You had, I think it was 3 assists last year. You got 9 assists this year. So really great numbers there for you. And you've also got a few minutes this year with the first team in 2025. What have you learned from your time when you do get to train and play with the first team and the other defenders and players there that have your role? Do you get to learn from those guys?
I mean, I think learning from them is like they're all so mature, and I feel like they all know their function. They go to the field earlier before that, activation, and all of them are so professional. Activation, go on the field, they know what to do on the field, and they'll do extra work after. I think professionalism is very good in the first team, but also like their experience. I mean, always talking to them about their experience is just, it helps me. And while I'm practicing or playing the games, sometimes it's just them giving me knowledge that maybe I didn't know before, but them just helping me and guide me. I feel like in first team, I feel like when the older guys do that, I feel like it gives me more confidence if they encourage me to do something. So I feel like it's just experience, more like professionalism. I feel like in that area, it helps me.
Is there anyone on the first team that you kind of look up to as a leader and like a guide, to someone that you really respect there?
Um, I think the main guy that I would say is Robin. I feel like in the field, um, he's a leader. You can tell like by his stature, like he's a leader, and he'll go and help you. He'll talk to you. But also I feel like Rodrigo Schlegel is also a leader. The way he's so vocal, the way he's always talking. I feel like that's so important. Is on the field is just communication and be able to tell people if you have someone on your right, someone on your left. And I feel like he's so vocal all the time. And I feel like as a defender, also, I feel like you need to be vocal. So I feel like he's one of the players that can come as like a leader.
That's awesome. It's great to hear that you are able to learn from some of these more mature guys in the squad and get some wisdom from them. One of the things I want to ask you about, MLS Next Pro has been used as kind of like a testing ground for some interesting rules. One of them being that there's no draws, and you guys have to do penalties whenever there's a draw. How do you feel about that? And has it made you really good at penalties?
Yeah, I feel like this year, I feel like it's been one of my better years being a penalty taker. And I feel like that just makes the whole team be better at penalties because we practice it every practice for a game. We practice it a lot of times a week. So I feel like it's just getting everyone better at penalties, making them more comfortable. But I also feel like it's also exciting that even though you draw, you can get an extra point and be able. And I feel like that's an exciting way to close the game. Instead of just having one, you could have two. So I feel like obviously I feel like it's different, but I feel like for us, I feel like it's just an opportunity to get more points and to be able to showcase that we're composed in penalty shootouts.
It was great to hear your opinion on that. I feel like it would be something that some players might like and some players might not like. It's fairly new idea, but I think it's like you said, interesting to end the game that way. And I think you guys did pretty good. Like, you had some losses on penalty shootouts, but you also had some wins. It tends to balance out. As you said, you are an attacking wingback. That's kind of how you view yourself. Are there any other like attacking wingbacks in the world of soccer right now, or maybe in the past, that like really inspire you that you were like, I want to play like this guy?
Um, I feel like one of the wingbacks that I really like, not look up to, but that I watch that plays now is Dumfries on Milan. I feel like I have this kind of statue, and I feel like he kind of plays similar to me in the way that he goes forward all the time, especially for national team. The way he goes forward and the way he always has to come back as well. And I feel like he's also um, about as tall as me. And I feel like just his play style overall is just similar to mine. And he's one of those guys when I watch his games is especially the one I look out for.
That's a good one, man. I didn't think about him. I was just thinking like Alfonso Davies is kind of
Right. Yeah.
similar build and stature, athletic guy that likes to run the whole wing. Uh, I think that's someone that you could build your career looking at. Another thing I want to ask you: do you ever have a desire to maybe move up permanently into that attack? I know it's something that a lot of players have done. They've gone from fullback to winger. Do you see maybe in the future that's something you'd be interested in, or do you prefer really being able to have the flexibility of a fullback?
Um, I like the flexibility, but I started as a winger and forward, so I feel like I started as a winger and forward. Obviously, I thought I was pretty good at it, and then I got moved to wing back. So I feel like now I'm more comfortable because I can play as a winger and also play as a fullback. So I feel like I'm comfortable as being like a fullback. I feel like for right now, I feel like that's something I should just work on, just becoming a fullback. I could work on winger attributes as well, but I also want to work on fullback attributes as well. So I feel like I could just work on both at the same time to just see what happens because you never know.
In the modern game, you can do the same. Like a lot of players you see will do both, and change it around and have that option to do. I wanted to ask you, Alex, do you have any questions for us or anything you want to ask the fans of OCB, or you want to give a shout out to your friends and family?
Yeah, I would like to shout out my family. I know I don't get to see them a lot. They live in Fort Lauderdale. I would just like to say thank you for everything they've done for me, helping me come to Orlando in the first place when I was 16, and now just supporting me always. I just want to say thank you, and I love you guys. So yeah,
You kind of feel like a homegrown player, Alex, even though you're not a homegrown, because you got here so young and
yeah,
like, you've been here a few years. I really feel like you're a core part of this OCB team. Obviously, like we said, you've had a great season, and we wish you all the best of luck on Sunday as you take on the Chicago Fire at 3 o'clock in their house. Well, Chicago Fire 2, I should say. Best of luck, Alex. Thank you so much for coming on the show. If you like what you heard here, you can follow us on YouTube. You can subscribe. You can share this video, and you can follow us on social media, X on Instagram as at LPO Podcast. You can also find us on Facebook as Loud and Proud Orlando. Alex here on the show. Whenever we sign off, we like to end with Vamos Orlando. So if you'll join me, we'll do 1, 2, 3. Vamos
Vamos,
Orlando!
Orlando.